Oh, we didn't hit record. Jeez, we wasted such great material. That's
At this point, it actually might be half decent.
Oh well, I mean, but that's the whole thing. Everybody does it, puts all the work in. They think that they sucked, but then everyone tells them, "Don't worry, we liked it."
And usually that take you do after, you're so pissed, you have this like adrenaline and stuff, and it ends up being even better.
Oh, you just got to psych yourself up. I mean, did I ever show you the clip of Jack Nicholson on the set of The Shining just before he hacks down the door?
I don't think so.
Oh, he's like on the side. He's like doing like quick little sprints back and forth within 10 feet, and he's just moving his arms up and down and just psyching himself up.
Well, it worked.
Hello and welcome to Moviehouse Mystics, where the magic of movies come to life. I'm Kevin Gainey.
And I'm Cody Yule.
And if you like this episode, please like, subscribe, and leave a 5-star review wherever you get your fine podcasts. YouTube, Spotify, Apple, you name it.
Kevin, you get to do the fun fact this week because I picked the movie. So what is your fun fact?
Well, my fun fact is about, because it is Halloween, we are in New England right here, and I think what's appropriate to reference is a few haunted details about New England.
Oh, sure.
Yes. So I live in Connecticut, and apparently there is a haunted town, or at least property, that used to be a living area in Connecticut. It's around the New York State border. Coda, you might have heard of it. It's referred to as Dudleytown.
I actually had heard of this.
I don't have all the specific rules with me, but I believe it is off limits. So it is private property. It's owned by a land trust. But there's a lot of spooky things that people are alleged to have happened over there. Saturday Night Live's Dan Aykroyd even referred to it as the most haunted place on Earth. Now, I don't know if I have all the answers about it that I can absolutely fact check it, but to know that there is an entire area in my home state that has been closed off with all these urban legends surrounding it, it's just like, it just shivers.
Well, maybe it's a good remote for us to do.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, that's if we manage to get any internet out there to record anything, or even electricity to begin with.
Or permission, because if it's off limits, well, I don't know that you want to be filming a podcast there. But it's fitting that you picked that because we're right at Halloween right now.
Yeah, we as we're recording, it's Friday, October 24th. We got a week to go.
So do you have any memories of like Halloweens as you grew up, or any favorite anything? What is your Halloween experience been?
One of my favorite Halloween memories was actually 10 years ago. So I had graduated from college that year. I was living my post-grad days at home with my parents and, still trying to get my feet wet and figure out where to go. And I had plans to go up to Boston with friends and celebrate over there. Those plans fell through at the last minute. But my parents were like, well, some good friends of ours, the Coolies, they own the Cooley Art Gallery in Old Lyme, Connecticut. It's in the main, the equivalent of the Main Street down there. And they said, why don't you just come on over and we'll pass out candy? And I said, sure. But I decided to up the ante a little bit. So a few years earlier, I had a lot of money in the bank, and I decided to indulge something that I had always wanted when I was a child, which was this Supreme Darth Vader costume. Probably about $800.
Good investment.
Well, my parents and my brothers did not think so. They kind of lectured me on fiscal responsibility and everything like that. But 2 years later, I bring it over to the Cooley Art Gallery, and in the moment, I couldn't see very much because, the mask is fogging up and everything like that. But I trusted what everyone was saying, was that everyone was just blown away by how I look like the real Darth Vader. All the kids are coming up and taking pictures. I can't see it because the mask is like just obstructing my vision underneath my eyes. But it was pretty cool. But
that was your favorite part of the day, right?
No, I actually had an even better part of the day earlier. So, you know my cat Pippin, right?
Absolutely.
Well, that was also the day I got Pippin. So, my parents went over to Shagbark, the feed store, to get stuff for the horses. And my mom sends me a picture and a text message of these three little kittens in a little kennel. She says, free kittens. And I'm like, I'm going over there to check them out. And just sped on over. And I was just so impressed with Pippin in particular. Like, he literally climbed up my jeans and up the back of my shirt and started standing on my shoulder, this particular shoulder right here. And I was like, I'm taking him home.
Now, were you dressed as Vader when you adopted Pippin?
I wish I was, but, one of the unfortunate things about an adult is that's kind of frowned upon in your everyday life.
Well, yeah, I guess.
But it was an interesting crossover. It was a Star Wars day, but I gave him not a Star Wars character as a name, but a Lord of the Rings name, because I thought those names just sounded better.
I think that collaboration would break even Patton Oswalt. I mean, he famously has that monologue on Parks and Rec where he goes on about Marvel meets Star Wars and basically predicts like the next several Marvel and Star Wars movies. But still, I think Lord of the Rings and that would be way too much. Folks, check it out. It's hilarious.
I second that. If you can, just look up Patton Oswalt filibuster Star Wars. How about you? Do you have any good Halloween memories?
So I've experienced Halloween in several different settings. I've been to Salem on actual Halloween twice.
Is it worth it?
I'll put it this way. It's the kind of thing you want to do to say you did it, but if you're actually trying to experience much of Salem, you're not going to get it. It's really standing room only. I've also been in LA during the Halloween season, and they have a cool thing at Hollywood Forever, the cemetery. It's used in tons of movies. It's a big filming location, but they had a big Dia de los Muertos event with bands and all sorts of stuff. But also I was in West Hollywood on the actual Halloween night, and then I think on November 1st, I was at a little area nearby downtown LA where there was a much more authentic Dia celebration. It was a little less of the kind of commercialized, but it was fun nonetheless.
Yeah, it sounds like it's a great time. I mean, now that you're talking about being in LA, having a Halloween experience in LA, I'm thinking about, do you remember this a Nickelodeon show that you probably watched it, The Angry Angry Beavers?
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that one.
Yeah, they had a Halloween episode. I think it's called The Day the World Got Really, Really Screwed Up, which was a parody of like all these B movies. And Daggett and Norbert, the two Beaver brothers, end up going through the empty gates of a house and the open door, and they're wondering whose house it is. And it turns out they discover they're in the home of their favorite B movie actor, who's actually there and helps them, during the plot of this B movie come to life. And I just keep thinking about, what if you were doing something like that and you ended up in a mansion and you discover it's Steven Spielberg's house, because you see all the famous props he collects. Like, among them is the Rosebud sled. Just imagine looking at that and saying, this is Spielberg's house.
Damn it, Kevin. Some people still have not seen Citizen Kane.
Look, that movie was released just months before the U.S. entered World War II. You've had 8 decades before you. I'm sorry if you haven't figured that out yet.
Oh, it's an interesting thought.
But just imagine what it would be like in Steven Spielberg's house, where you discover him barricaded in the basement with George Lucas, and they got all these props where they're trying to like defend themselves against whatever monster.
Just imagine that they're defending themselves with a whip and blasters. Pew, pew.
Yeah, Halloween always brings out the fun spirits compared to all the other holidays.
And the real ones, too.
So, is Halloween the theme of our episode today?
I say ento pi alpha maybe up and die.
What the hell did you just say?
I'm trying to put a spell on you. You might notice a little bit of feather growth, and I don't know, in the next week or so.
There is no such thing as magic, Coda. Jeez.
Ooh, those sound like fighting words, Kevin. You wait.
Well, we will cross that bridge when we get there. But magic is very appropriate for today's episode, as we are doing the 1993 cult classic, Hocus Pocus.
Yes, so I chose the Chariot to represent this movie. I think it's perfect because the three protagonists really are great with overcoming the obstacles that are in their way and just moving forward. So, thus the Chariot.
Well, as long as you weren't using a Ouija board, I'm okay because I've seen way too many horror movies to know you do not mess around with those.
That's a little funny, Kevin, because didn't you just say you didn't believe in magic?
We're not in a courtroom.
Your Honor, I move to impeach this witness.
All right, so this was your pick, so why don't you tell me about the first time you saw this movie?
I somehow went without seeing it for much of my life, and I actually watched it in 2022 when the sequel came out. I was quite familiar with the I Put a Spell on You number, the song Winnie sings in the Salem Town Hall, but yeah, I had never watched it all the way through until like 2022.
It was a very similar experience for me. I didn't see the movie until like 2018, but I had seen that scene before. But my story was that I was working the night audit at the Elliott Hotel, and my friend Harrison, who was, I think he was an assistant manager at Uni, the restaurant at the time. He is now the general manager. Shout out to Harrison if you are paying attention. But he's passing by as I'm starting the night audit, and he's like, hey, are you watching this game? Because it was the 2018 World Series. It was Game 3, Sox versus Dodgers, and it was already going into like the 12th inning or something like that. And I was like, nah, I'm trying to find a pirated link for Hocus Pocus because Disney Plus doesn't come out until 2019. And Harrison just looks at me like, what? And he comes over, takes my computer, signs into my YouTube TV account, and he's like, you got to watch this game, which goes until the 18th inning. And I ended up watching it after that.
Wait, so Mr. Baseball wasn't watching the World Series, but decided on top of that, Mr. I Hate Musicals was going to watch Hocus Pocus with like the greatest musical number? What?
I don't know. What can you tell? What can I tell you? You gotta check it out.
So this was my pick, and my elevator pitch would really be that this whole movie is a triple threat in more ways than one. You got these three wonderful leading ladies cast as the witches, and then you also have comedy, music, and spooky stuff. Perfect trifecta. I mean, I love it. Kevin, what is your pitch?
So I'll just be honest. In my elevator pitch, I'd say this is not my cup of tea when it comes to a movie. I mean, it's definitely a kids movie. There was a lot that just left me scratching my head from the perspective of a writer and storytelling, but the aesthetics definitely drew everybody in because, you know, spooky colonial vibes, and, you know, it's a movie that people can watch or rewatch regardless of whether they like it or not. So it is a cult classic.
Which is especially relevant to this show because the film itself takes place in New England, set on Halloween night.
Yes, so let me take a look at this right over here. I've got the basic plot written down for anybody who might have forgotten everything.
Let's hear it.
So on Halloween night in Salem, Massachusetts, teenager Max accidentally brings back the Sanderson sisters, three witches executed centuries earlier. With help from his little sister Danny and his crush Allison, Max must stop the witches from stealing the lives of Salem's children before sunrise.
Now, who plays these wonderful characters?
Well, we start off with Bette Midler as Winifred.
Does she even need an introduction?
I don't think so. I mean, you know, she's got 2 Oscar nominations, 3 Emmys, 2 Tonys, 3 Grammys, so just an Oscar short of an EGOT.
She is a literal triple threat.
Just short of a quadruple.
Well, let's hope she wasn't listening to that joke.
Yes, so my apologies, Miss Midler. We also have Sarah Jessica Parker as Sarah, so Coda, I know that must be easy for you to remember.
Yes, Sarah Jessica Parker as Sasha.
What?
No, in reality, it does make it a bit easier.
Well, I think that when you eventually do watch The Shining, it's going to be easy for you because 2 of the 3 members of the Torrance family share the names with their actors, Jack Nicholson and Danny Lloyd.
Well, we're not going to be able to fit that in before Halloween this year, but something to maybe look forward to. Back to Sarah Jessica Parker.
Well, here's the interesting thing that we have to point out. Sarah Jessica Parker will be drinking a potion in this movie, not a Cosmo.
Devin, you watched Sex in the City?
No, I just spent a lot of time on Google and Wikipedia.
Okay, sure. There's no shame in admitting it.
Well, we also have Kathy Najimy as Mary Sanderson.
Now, you told me she was the voice of Bobby on King of the Hill.
Yes, and I was a little disappointed that we didn't get a segment where she goes, "That's my purse, I don't know you."
Yeah, but she didn't kick anyone in the family jewels.
Dude, the Louvre just got robbed. Jewels?
All right, too soon to be talking about jewels even in the metaphorical sense?
Oui.
Je m'excuse.
Well, we also have Omri Katz, who plays Max.
What films has he been in lately?
He is actually in a different line of work now.
Uh-oh.
Well, he owns a dispensary.
Oh.
Yeah, so we're also lucky that it's legal now, because you could still sell weed when it's illegal, but that wouldn't be that would kind of be frowned upon.
Now, he wasn't the first person they considered, right? I heard there was a certain up-and-coming actor some people may have heard of that was possibly going to play the part.
Yes, Leonardo DiCaprio was considered for this role, but he was not able to commit. He was working on a movie that would turn into be a great classic, What's Eating Gilbert Grape, and he'd be nominated for an Oscar for that role.
Well, I guess it worked out for him. I don't really think Leo's going around knocking on neighbors' doors trying to do odd jobs.
Yeah, could you imagine that? Like, "Hi, Mr. Spielberg, can I cut your grass?"
Possibly.
We also have Thora Birch as Danny.
I've got to say, her performance was excellent. Not just like of the three of the protagonist kids. It was like a great performance for a child actor, period. She really delivered.
Yeah, she's got a lot of charisma, but one of my favorite parts was that she gave like the Nazgul scream like years before the Lord of the Rings movies were released.
And boy, can she screech.
We also have Vanessa Shaw as Allison. Now, one of my favorite things is that she was in Stanley Kubrick's final movie, Eyes Wide Shut, which was allegedly inspired by sex cults in Hollywood.
Didn't Kubrick die during the editing of that film?
Yeah, it was a little weird, you know. He died of a heart attack in his sleep. Maybe it was a little too accurate and got some people concerned. And did you just get a text message that said, "I dropped the Eyes Wide Shut comments if I were you"?
Yeah. Why don't we just move on to the next actor?
Yes, onto a lighter subject matter, the characters Satan and Medusa.
Yes, the Sanderson sisters think they've come across their master, the devil, and Medusa. In this case, Satan and Medusa are actually a cranky married couple that may or may not be swingers.
And they are played by
Gary and Penny Marshall, the creators of Happy Days. My mom pointed it out right away when we watched the movie a few months ago.
Yes, so anybody who's listening to this, don't feel bad if you didn't recognize them. I didn't either until we were doing our research. But one of my favorite comments, I looked up the video clip from that scene on YouTube, and one of the best comments on there, the dog that chases them out of the house is a little mini dog named Ralph. And everyone was saying, well, they missed a perfect opportunity for the Sanderson sisters to think the dog's name was Cerberus. The three-headed beast that guards the underworld? No. Fluffy and Harry Potter.
Oh, yes. But we don't talk about that franchise, even though we do in pretty much every episode.
It's a love-hate relationship. It's kind of like vegans with meat. And this movie was directed by a fella named Kenny Ortega.
And he directed a film a lot of 90s kids would know. Newsies.
I'm not sure that's his most famous film.
Right, yeah. He did direct the High School Musical franchise.
Yeah, well, let me be blunt. I didn't watch that movie when it came out or any of them because I was a high school freshman, and that would have been socially destructive behavior. So I was busy trying to be cool.
Oh, such vanity, Kevin. I was in middle school. I could get away with it.
But he does have quite an accomplished resume. I mean, he choreographed all these dance sequences for St. Elmo's Fire, Ferris Bueller's Day Off, let's see, Dirty Dancing, and he also produced concert tours for Cher, Kiss, Miley Cyrus, and Michael Jackson.
And that helped him get a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame and certified Disney legend status.
And since I'm no longer trying to be cool, I can tip my cap to you, Mr. Ortega. Tip of the imaginary cap here.
Incredible.
The story, Hocus Pocus, was written by Mick Garris and David Kirshner. The screenplay was written by Garris and Neil Cuthbert, and it was produced by David Kirshner and Stephen Haft.
So, our research showed that Kirshner wanted the movie to be released in September for the Halloween timing, but the studio bosses thought a summer release would be better because I guess a lot of people were out on summer vacation.
Unfortunately, that summer, the particular week, or the 2-week stretch that they were trying to aim for a release, they were going up against two major movies, Free Willy and Jurassic Park.
Oh, you're totally screwed when you're competing against Steven Spielberg. And also, why would a film about witches that takes place on Halloween make any sense to release in July? This is before Halloween was started to be celebrated in September and August. It was 93.
You know, that was the point that Kirshner brought up. He was like, look, I mean, it's a witch movie on Halloween, being released in July, and you add on top of that the mixed reviews at the time. It was just really hard to get people to go see the movie with that weird combination.
Well, I guess that's what you call a sleeper success. Didn't have much ROI on the theatrical run, but it was saved by home video.
Yep, it became a fixture on Disney Channel and ABC Family around Halloween every year. I'm sure you remember seeing that.
It's definitely a cult classic, and it's one where the critics, they weren't thrilled.
Yeah, so the critic consensus, apparently according to Rotten Tomatoes, reads, harmlessly hokey, yet never much more than mediocre. Hocus Pocus is a muddled, family-friendly effort that fails to live up to the talents of its impressive cast. So,
but it's the love of the fans that really matters. I think they even have these special screenings where cast members show up and talk. It's really quite an event.
It's not just the screenings. Apparently, Bette Midler, during her 2015 Divine Intervention tour, she did a costume change during the show and changed into Winifred to sing, what was it? I Put a Spell on You.
Now, I want to talk about this film for a second because it's not original to this movie. It's an older song, and it has hundreds of covers, actually, from singers ranging from Annie Lennox to Garrett Clayton. And it initially was done by the eccentric blues singer Screamin' Jay Hawkins.
The viewers can look up this music video for themselves. I'll warn you, he does give off some creepy voodoo vibes, like Dr. Facilier from The Princess and the Frog.
And Salem remains a tourist destination for the fans. To call it a little pilgrimage would not be an exaggeration.
Yeah, that's true. I did find a quote somewhere. Let me pull this up. Someone once said, there's always been a Hocus Pocus component to the visitors of Salem, especially in October, but it's like the film's following grows every year. Now, me personally, I've only been to Salem on a few occasions and for mundane, boring reasons, and you said you've been there many times. Could you tell us about your experiences?
I've been twice. This year alone, I've been there for Halloween proper, as we already discussed, 2 times, and I'd honestly live there. I love it.
And you managed to get some footage this time, correct?
Yes, let's throw that up. Sorry, wrong clip. Now, you may recognize this from the film Ellison's House. It's actually the Ropes Mansion located at 318 Essex Street.
So when you were there, was everybody dressed up as revolutionary aristocrats?
Well, Kevin, I think you could see from the clip they were not. Most people that would dress up from someone from the film would not choose some niche reference from a scene that didn't even last 5 minutes.
Die-hard fans might.
Yeah, maybe. Actually, people do dress up like that, but it's not for a nod to the movie. It's because of the actual historical nature of Salem, not as a nod to Hocus Pocus. And then we have Max and Danny's house.
That does not look like the house. I'll give you that it's white. You were at the right address, correct? 4 Ocean Avenue?
Oh. So I went to 40 Ocean Avenue. I always slash my zeros, but for some reason I slashed the O at the beginning of Ocean, and then I read it as 40 Ocean, even though now the O was missing. My dysgraphic brain didn't put it all together. What can you say?
Look, I probably would have done the same thing. But, the house is the same size, it's the same color, so I can see how you got it mixed up.
I'd also like to draw attention to the fact that several of the municipal services within the city have this as their logo. For the listener, it is a patch for the Salem Police Department that has a picture of a witch riding a bike.
I can't believe the city approved that for the design.
I think they've learned to embrace it by now.
That's true. I mean, but what I want to know is going on Halloween to Salem. It sounds like an actual nightmare, but also a sort of thing to try once just to say you did it.
So the city is a pretty big theme in this movie. I think we should maybe discuss a little bit more about Salem itself.
Yeah, I think our audience would appreciate a little history lesson.
Well, to start, it's in Essex County, Massachusetts, on the north shore of Boston.
Okay. I don't think that we need a whole geography lesson, as if you're some sort of authority on the matter.
Well, actually, yes, Kevin, I am. I'm a junior ranger there, and I have the badge to prove it.
Well, if that's the case, then I'm just going to buy a cheap badge on Amazon so I can flash it just to make you shut up.
If you did that, I'd know you didn't earn it, and also, you don't have one yet. So there. It was originally populated by the Namkeg tribe. The first successful colony was founded at Plymouth, but the Namkeg were decimated by the smallpox and a war with the Mi'kmaq tribe. So it became easy for the settlers to take over. The Namkeg tribe was compensated 20 British pounds for the land in 1686. Now, it's somewhat uncertain what that would be in today's dollars. Somewhere probably in the value of, I don't know, tens of thousands of pounds.
I mean, do you have to bring in accounting to every episode that we do?
Our audience could learn something important.
If by our audience you mean our mothers, look, I think that they both have decent financial advisors. They don't need to be getting money advice from guys on a movie podcast.
Well, maybe something we can do for a movie about economic stuff. I don't know. What's the one with the orange juice futures?
Trading Places, which stars Dan Aykroyd, who made that comment about Deadly Town, like I said in the beginning.
Well, let's get to the irony of the era, the Salem witch trials of 1692.
Yes. So the colonists come over to America for their own religious liberties, but ironically, they end up creating a theocracy where, theological dissent on so many issues, not only is that not tolerated, but witchcraft is not tolerated, and it's also punishable by death.
American history is rich with irony.
But it is always worth studying.
Well, I wish more people would have studied it. Look at today's climate.
Well, that's just what happens when you think that as a nation and as a culture, we are perfect, and you're always on defense against any merited criticism.
So, witch trials faded out of practice in Europe by the start of the 17th century, but were practiced still in the colonies. The Salem trials lasted from February of 1692 through May of 1693.
Yes, according to our research, it began with Reverend Samuel Parris's daughter Betty and his niece Abigail Williams. They began having fits of hysteria, quote, beyond epileptic fits or natural disease to affect. They were contorting, screaming, throwing objects, uttering strange sounds, and they complained that they were being pricked by pins. And eventually they began accusing other women of witchcraft, which includes Ann Putnam Jr., Elizabeth Hubbard, Sarah Good, Sarah Osborne, and an enslaved woman from Barbados named Tituba.
Now, if any of this is starting to sound familiar, you've probably read The Crucible in school. I know I have, actually, in more than one class.
Yes, so Arthur Miller wrote this play in the 1950s as a little commentary about the Red Scare and McCarthyism. And fun fact, Miller's son-in-law was Daniel Day-Lewis.
Sometimes our tangents really do come full circle.
So they made the conclusion that everybody was under the devil's influence based on a 15th century treatise on witchcraft, which was called the Malleus Maleficarum.
That sounds terrifying, Kevin.
Oh, well, everything sounds terrifying in Latin.
Now that you mention it, it does.
Rote in ottubus sarcum et sarcum, eont portotum oppidum.
Kevin, are you trying to attempt to summon a demon?
No, that's just wheels on the bus go round and round in Latin.
Well, now we know to keep you away from kids. And back to Salem, these were real trials. The bar for admissible evidence was quite a bit lower back then. One of the main sources utilized was something called spectral evidence, which is pretty much exactly what you'd think. The more passionate of the testimony equated to certainty of the matter. And we discussed the whole irony of this, actually, somewhat back in our Monty Python and the Holy Grail episode. The whole concept that if the person was a witch, they would survive a trial, but then if they weren't, they were exonerated, but it's too late because they're dead.
You know, Steve Martin, he did a series of sketches on Saturday Night Live in the 70s about a character named Theodoric of York, and that they touch on a whole variety of the medieval, science and knowledge back then.
In the end, we had 20 people executed, 19 hanged, and 1 tortured to death to get a plea. Rest in peace, Giles Corey. Fun fact, he's buried in an unmarked grave at the Howard Street Cemetery.
Not sure how fun someone being pressed to death is, but what do you have to say about that?
More weight, Kevin.
So, how did it all end?
Well, I think everybody just kind of became burned out at the end. The whole experience. It was kind of like a child throwing a temper tantrum.
It certainly did create fertile material for ghost stories.
Yeah. Anything that's set in New England or kind of the whole Northeast will definitely have that vibe going for it. I mean, I'm from New York and think like Sleepy Hollow.
I mean, it would be very hard to write a ghost story set in like New Mexico or Oregon.
Well, New Mexico has alien stories at least. What does Oregon have?
People in dinosaur costumes fighting each other.
Sounds apocalyptic. Real worst of the worst. Let's send in the military.
Yeah.
So, final thoughts on Hocus Pocus. Now, you actually had asked me about something regarding the salt.
Yeah, if you remember, Allison uses salt to form a circle around herself and Max to protect themselves against the Sanderson issue, and because apparently witches are afraid of salt, my thought was, well, why isn't she just throwing the salt on the witches? Couldn't that do something?
All right, so I think I might actually have an answer for you on this one. They're not scared of the salt. The salt is just plain old salt. What they're scared of is the salt being used to form a protection circle. I always love my SpongeBob analog. So think in SpongeBob with the sea bear. They use a stick to draw. SpongeBob draws it around him and Patrick. And it's protective. The stick is not what the bear was scared of, or the circle even. It was a protective circle, which had powers in and of itself. And it has to be a circle, not an oval.
Yeah, Squidward learned that one the hard way.
The other thing for me that stuck out is the sheer number of times they used the word virgin. I mean, it felt like any possible place they could have stuck it in, they did.
Yeah, like they kind of had a bet about it. Like,
Yeah, really.
yeah, I mean, might not be the most appropriate word for 8-year-olds in the audience. Does anything else stick out to you?
The special effects, especially the lightning that the witches shot out of their fingertips.
Like Emperor Palpatine.
If that helps, yes. But I bring it up because at Emerson, I did a short film there, and we did a similar effect that we were able to pull off in a dorm room on a laptop in like 20 years after this movie came out. It was crazy to me that the technology had come that far.
You know, kids today, they could probably do all of this just like on their phones.
Kids today, we sound so old. But anyway, and the demise of the sisters gave me some real Raiders of the Lost Ark vibes.
Oh, yes, you're expecting Harrison Ford to yell, "Don't look, Marion, keep your eyes shut!"
Also, off topic, something we mentioned earlier at the beginning of season 3, the Disney animated film Skeleton Dance just entered the public domain this year, and it's a really fun, spooky cartoon. I'd say if you haven't seen it, definitely check it out. Even if you have, watch it again. It's awesome.
I think I will.
Well, so Hocus Pocus was my pick, Kevin. You get the next movie. What is it going to be?
Well, we've been very ambitious about this movie. Our goal is to get it out before Halloween, so I figure why not keep this ambition up and go to the very next holiday after this? And no, not All Saints' Day. That would be a little too much. But Veterans Day, and because we've referenced Mr. Spielberg throughout this episode several times, I think, why don't we go with Saving Private Ryan?
Oh, Tom Hanks and Steven Spielberg. Always a good combo, like peanut butter and jelly.
I hate peanut butter and jelly.
Well then, Kevin, what is a good combo?
Buffalo wings and blue cheese?
Oh, you can't have blue cheese. You gotta get the ranch.
I mean, it's marvelous that we have chemistry for a show like this with all these disagreements.
The mystery of show business. Well, I'm Cody Ewell.
And I'm Kevin Gainey. Tune into Moviehouse Mystics next time for Saving Private Ryan.
Blue cheese. Moviehouse Mystics, hosted by Kevin Gainey and me, Cody Ewell. Theme music by The Fat Rat. Tune in next time for Saving Private Ryan.